We're here with Judge Cathy Cochran, who many of you will remember as Professor Herasimchuk from the University of Houston Law Center. Judge, thank you very much for your time here today.
You're very welcome.
Could you tell us how your teaching experience has affected your legal career?
Well, yes, actually, I started life as a teacher, starting from kindergarten, and now I made it to the top on Broadway with law school. And really, so teaching is what lawyers do. They teach in the courtroom, they teach the jury, they teach the judge. Appellate judges teach the bench and the bar how to address the law, and particularly with criminal law, is a very good background for the moral lessons of society as well as the legal lessons.
You just have been speaking to our Hidalgo County Bar, and you gave an example using some of the characters that were so familiar to us. Could you tell everyone what that example was?
In 1989, when I was teaching, you have to use real anecdotes and interesting people, and so that was how Officer Obie and Little Nell and Dangerous Dan McGrew and Simon Legree were born, and they continue on. And even for CLE programs, after 30 years, we had poor Little Nell dead at the foot of the stairs at the church with M&Ms right beside her. So those stories, those people, those anecdotes continue on forever.
That's probably why they're so memorable. One of the people that you brought to our law school class was an attorney that was just getting started in private practice, and his name was Rusty Harden, and he's gone on to tremendous success. Did you expect Rusty to be so successful?
Sure did. He came to the Harris County DA's office in 1975, which was long before I did, but right away he became the best trial lawyer in the office. And he also became very astute at picking out other good potential picks from the law schools. And so he was head of the hiring committee. And he was also very good at teaching young lawyers. And so he was head of the education committee. And so he wrapped it all up as the stellar trial attorney in the Harris County DA's office. And after 15 years, when he left and went into private practice, he does exactly the same thing that he did then. He turns the courtroom into his living room and just gets along with jurors and judges, and that's the secret of his success.
You reference many different characteristics of him being successful. What advice would you give a law student today as they were starting to embark in the practice of law?
Well, remember that the law really is just common sense writ large, and it has developed over these many thousands of years because of what made good common sense to people all along through the ages. And still today, those are our basic legal doctrines, and when the law doesn't make sense to somebody, you need to stand back and say, what went wrong here, and let's try to fix it. So whatever area of law that someone's interested in, just to remember that it's common sense for the good of humanity.
And you spoke somewhat on that today in your topic on junk science. How junk science has kind of changed, but in our day in 1989, the junk science involved sexual assault and outcry and battered wife syndrome.
Yes.
I remember we talked about that a lot.
And back then, before the Mendectin problem, Merrill Dow versus Strawberry, we were much more, the rules of evidence seemed to imply you could let in a lot of this evidence and the jury was smart enough to sort it out for themselves. But they're not unless we give them good guidance and give them good, reliable evidence. So just as science is changing all along, our law changes incrementally, not nearly so fast. I noticed that the law school is much bigger now than it was. I went out there last year to welcome the newest class, and I couldn't even find the law school. It had grown up so much. But the law remains relatively stable and relatively good for all of us.
What's the biggest change in the practice that you've noticed over the past 20 years?
I think as we become a larger and larger society and more people involved with more cases and moving around the countryside, there is a steady loss of civility. And I really think that lawyers need to remember that they are part of this happy band of brothers. And even when we disagree on a particular case, we have different sides on things, that we're all still in this together, working for the good of the law.
Well, that's a wonderful thought to close on. Thank you very much,
Well, thank
Judge.
you. I appreciate it, Greg, and it's wonderful to see you again.
Thank you very much.
And the very best to all of your classmates in that great Section C of 1989.
I'll let you wish them
Thank you.
farewell.
And may you have many happy days coming back to the law school and passing on your expertise and your wisdom to the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you.